Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled council meeting of Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. To start with, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I'm sorry, one other thing. Let the record show all councilors are present, with the exception of Councilor Bayless, Councilor Hoffman, Sockman, and Councilor Swiper. At this time, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have adds and deletes. One add, consent agenda number 11, number 12, and number 13. Add bids and quotes number 1A, and delete minutes of November 6th. Could I get approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Faso. Support by Councilor Whitney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the special Hibbing City Council meeting of October 24th, 2024. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Faso. Support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to approve the special Hibbing City Council canvassing meeting of November 13th, 2024. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, we'll move on to the public hearing. And public hearing is regarding special assessments for sidewalk replacement and offering a resolution number 24-11-07 authorizing special assessments for sidewalk replacement. This is an open hearing, so if anybody would like to speak to that, now is the time. If anybody would like to speak to that, now is the time. And a third time, if anybody's interested in speaking to the resolution, sidewalks, now is the time. Okay, we'll move on to a motion. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Faso.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to the number 2, public hearing regarding special assessments for long grass, utilities, and/or garbage and stormwater. It's offering a resolution number 24-11-08, authorizing special assessments for long grass, utilities, and/or garbage and stormwater. At this time, does anybody wish to speak to resolution 24-11-08?
I just want to make sure I have the right ones on.
Come up to the podium.
Yep.
Mine is from a previous occupant of my property who left an outstanding bill that I did not own the property. The bill, I believe, is from November of '23, and I purchased a home in April of this year. And I was just notified in the last couple of months about the bill. I've been trying to track down the owner. I spoke with people at the utilities. They said the guy who owes the bill, he signed up for services recently. They missed it, so they were going to put it on his bill, but then they were told, put it back on my taxes. So I'm trying to find out if I can get this removed, please.
Sheena, any
I was not even the
on the
owner of the...
process?
So I can speak a little bit to that. So the PUC has some of the utilities on the bill, and that would be like the electricity, the gas, steam, water. And then the city's services would be for the sewer, storm, and garbage. So the PUC, with those types of utilities, will keep it with the owner, whereas the cities, with the type of services that we have and via ordinance, assess those to the property in which the services were rendered. So I think the utility had transferred all of them, including our services, over. And so the ones that belong with the property and become a lien on the property are being put on the property taxes, I think, that he's speaking about. I think, can you tell me your address? Because I think I remember from Cassie
Yeah,
speaking
it's
with you earlier.
2930 5th Avenue East.
Yeah. I have a copy.
So our assessments will be pulled off.
So the city's assessments would be on the taxes, and then the PUC's went on collections for the electricity and then gas.
Okay?
And maybe Andy can speak a little bit, but there's some differences on different types of utilities on how you can collect on them.
Mayor, members of the council, so there are some issues sometimes with regard to electricity and/or power, gas, and there are some statutes that prohibit cities from necessarily assessing those when it comes to a landlord-tenant situation. However, there's also statutes that say that cities have the same powers as towns who are allowed to assess for those. So it's kind of a little bit more of a murkier zone. But you can assess with regard to the water, sewer, to the property that those were provided for. And I believe that's what's happening here, is the city has an assessment against those particular properties. There may have been a time gap for this individual when he bought his property versus when that assessment went on. But the city has the right to assess those, so it's really up to the council whether or not they want to make an exception for this individual or not.
And Mayor, I can also say that I did have Cassie pull the assessment search that was completed, and it looks like it was for the closing in April of 2024. It did disclose to All American Title Company that these were delinquent utilities that would be pending assessment.
So when the property was sold, that was a noted comment?
It was, see, I questioned that when I called my real estate agent, and we were never informed of it at the closing. I'm not gonna say it wasn't on the back page of a document somewhere, but we were never informed of it. He was unaware of it. We contacted the selling agent as well, and, because we were told that, it would show up if they checked it out, and we were never informed of that. So I'm not sure what the policy is on that, but.
Mayor, that's really not part of the city's problem. That's part of where you close the transaction for these particular individuals.
So what you're saying is more of a title and the realtor's issue.
So in most real estate transactions that go through title companies, they check with the city and/or the utility to determine whether or not there are any pending or delinquent. And per the information the city has, that happened in this case. Whether or not that information got conveyed to this individual at the closing, that's really not the city would have no idea. I'm not challenging the individual. He may
Right.
not have found out. But that doesn't mean that the city didn't do their due diligence and provide notice to the title company that in fact this was going to be an issue. That should have been addressed at the closing then, so that everybody knew. But
Yeah.
whether that was addressed, that's really up to the.
Right, that's not a city transaction.
It's not a city transaction at that point in time. So whether the city wants to forgive, that's entirely within the discretion of the council with regard to that.
I'm just saying, I was not the homeowner at the time the bill was occurred. And if anything, the tenant, who the city knows who he is and where he's at, should be responsible for it, or at the least, the previous owner. That's just my opinion.
Well, and have you reached out, hearing the information that Mr. Borland just said, have you reached out to your realtor?
I reached out to
and the
my
title
realtor.
company on why you were not given that or not made aware of that information?
I spoke with him, James Marks, and then he in turn contacted the selling agent, Matt Rangsdorf, I think it is, who tried to, I'm not sure if either one of them contacted the title company. Matt tried to contact the previous owner, I guess twice, and heard nothing. This week sometime, he called the utilities, and then they looked at the guy's name or whatever, found out he had signed up for utilities, and they were gonna put it on his, and then somebody said not to do that, put it back on my taxes. So I just moved up here a little over a year ago. I buy a house, and this is my welcome to Hibbing. I get a $362.64 bill that
What was
isn't
the total?
mine. Huh?
What was the total, I'm sorry?
It's $362.64.
Historically, what have we done, Andy, as far as it is, what I just heard you say, it is not a city responsibility?
Historically, I think the city has assessed these.
Yes.
Historically, they have.
Okay. I don't know what the history, counselors, I don't know how you feel. What have we done in the past as far as have we forgiven anything in this scenario?
I don't know in this scenario, Mayor, I'm aware of a property that previously the council deferred the assessments and then eventually, I think, assessed them against the property the next year when an individual came in and I think they were more claiming a hardship at the time than a circumstance that this gentleman is presenting. So, but again, it's up to the council as to their determination on this.
Yeah, I feel for his, excuse me, I feel for your situation. I wouldn't want to pay it either. But if a realtor, something in this transaction, someone didn't communicate to this gentleman that, hey, there's this assessment on here, I mean, that's not the city's fault. I mean, I'd love to forgive it, but
If it would have came up in the closing, then it would have been addressed at that time with the
Yeah.
previous owner. We wouldn't have signed on the papers for that. That should have been a week or two in advance, I would think, when the title company does all their research, and it wasn't. So, I mean, I can go home and look through all the papers, see if it's even in there, but it should have been disclosed at closing, and I can 100% say that it was not. That's why when I received the bill like a month ago, I thought, why am I late? I'm not late on my bills. Why am I getting, I was confused by it. I'd never seen nothing like this before, so. I mean, is it a common practice in area cities or in Minnesota, or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, to assess for these kinds of utilities, it's oftentimes the recommended practice to assess rather than take legal action against everyone who fails to pay. Because it's non-litigation type issues to try and resolve it.
Right.
Assess the property, because the property got the benefit of the utilities provided in this situation.
and if it was a current, even if I was the owner at the time, I still struggle with that, but when it's somebody new coming and buying it, and then you get stuck blindsided with something, I don't see how it's ethical or even legal, honestly. I mean,
The blindsiding, though, what I see is with your realtor and not getting.
there might,
information.
somebody there didn't, yeah. Well, I'd say the title company, but yeah,
And have you reached out to your title and your realtor regarding this adjustment and maybe what your fees were? Because the city, what I hear is the city has followed the process they've always followed. And your realtor and your title company, or wherever they came together, did not pass on the proper information to you.
correct.
And, you know, I see it more as their issue, that they need to settle with you, than the city settling it with you. This is common practice within, as Mr. Borland had just stated, on past due, both with the PUC and with the city. PUC does all our billing for us, but we have to authorize
The assessment.
the assessment.
Mayor.
Yes,
With, you said there was an opportunity or a previous one that had been deferred for a year. Would
Yeah,
that-
an individual, I think, lived over on 15th or 16th Avenue East, and he made a request at the public hearing to say, I simply can't afford it, I can't pay it. And so the council at that time elected not to take any action to assess it at that time, but they left it open. The next year, I believe, then the property was assessed for the amount.
I mean, with this being, you know, in his case, feeling like it's almost a surprise, all of a sudden, here it is, I'm trying to take care of it, he's reached out to his real estate agent, he's reached out, they're looking into the title, maybe deferring it for a year would be helpful, and if you could figure out how to somehow recoup that money from the original owner, is that a process?
I think anything's on the table.
I mean, I'd love to give them time to figure it out. I think the realtor, title company, previous owner is the liable party here. I mean, the city's just doing what it always does. I mean, I want to help you out any way we can, so you don't have to pay that.
I appreciate it. If I had more time, that would be great, because it gives me time to,
Well, what I hear right now is a motion to delay this for a year, is kind of what you say? To give you time to see if you can work this out between,
okay.
if that's a motion, I would welcome a second.
I'll second that.
Second from Counselor Hildebrand, motion by Counselor Fossil to look at postponing, or what's the word you used, Sheena?
A deferral?
Deferring for a year to see if you can work that out with them.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you very much for your
Mayor?
time.
Yes,
May I just ask you your
Yeah.
name, please? Your name, please?
Full legal name or just what I go by?
Probably your full name, legal name.
Full legal name is Dana Edward Jensen J.K., K-A-A-E. 2 first names, 2 middle names.
and what was the address?
2930 Fifth Avenue East.
Very good. I should have asked you that anytime someone comes up. Sorry about that.
Is that good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, have a good
Thank you
evening.
for coming forward. At this time, anybody else that would want to come?
Mayor, I
Oh,
didn't hear
we
a
didn't
vote on
vote,
that.
yep. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, anybody else? Here we are. And what I'm asking for is your name and your address.
Teresa Roeber, R-O-E-B-E-R, since no one ever spells it right. So,
Address, please.
oh, address, my address or the
Yes.
address I'm upset about?
Both.
Okay. My address, 757 Michigan Street.
Okay.
The address I'm upset about is 2601 Third Avenue East. So I received a past due notice for utilities that never received a first notice. Don't know how you can receive a past due notice. Then I received the letter. So my questions are, if all utilities are in the tenant's name, and I have talked with Ms. Molnar earlier today, why is the property owner being held responsible for their behavior? And which city ordinance do you use to put it back on the property owner?
That's a good question. Andy, would you have that answer?
I believe chapter 3 is of our city code is the one that refers to utilities and the ability of the city to collect on utilities. So again, utilities are provided for the benefit of the property. In other words, heat keeps it warm so it doesn't freeze, collapse pipes. People use all the utilities for their benefit. And it benefits the property if garbage would just pile up and never got taken away. So that's the basis under why cities can assess for those utilities. Why are they on the property owner? Because the property owner owns the land. The property owner elected to have that particular tenant live there. And if the property owner didn't also sign up to provide notice or get notice of their utility bills, then the property owner wasn't on notice, but they elected not to know because they just had everything put in the tenant's name. So it's still, those utilities were all provided for the benefit of their tenant so that they could collect rent.
So you're stating that property owners should also have it in their name along with the tenants?
That's their election.
And when do property owners ever find this out?
Property owners can always go with their tenant because they own the property. The utilities would have been in the property owner's name until they transferred it to the tenant's name when they had a new tenant sign up. They could certainly go with the tenant to the utilities and say, I'd like notice each time when the bill goes out to make sure that my tenant is actually paying what apparently you contracted for your tenant to do.
So, Mr. Hildebrand, with your properties, do you do that each and every time?
Do I go to the PUC?
With the tenant?
Um,
Because I've had several tenants and have never heard this before.
That's your choice. But now,
How can it be a choice when no one tells you that that's an option?
well, sorry, ma'am, but you own the property, right?
And according to
there are
Minnesota
also
statute
landlords.
504B, when you put
Right.
it in the tenant's name, it is then the tenant's responsibility.
Right, but
correct?
it's still your land. Your land is getting the benefit of those utilities.
The tenant is getting the benefit of those utilities that they are supposed to pay.
Right, and they are paying you rent, right?
Rent, and then they pay utilities
Right.
above that.
And they're paying you rent because you have real estate that you're giving to them, which happen to have utilities with them.
That
There
makes-
are other landlords who pay the utilities for the tenant. and they negotiate the rent as such. So therefore, the landlord would always know what the utilities are because they keep the utilities in their name and they negotiate the rent that way.
So again, the tenant is not held responsible for anything. They can
They are,
trash
because they
the
could have the
apartment.
utilities shut off if they don't pay their rent or pay their utilities.
Well, apparently, this tenant paid enough of those utilities that they did not get the utilities shut off.
Sure.
And then it gets bounced back to me as the property owner. So what happens if I choose not to pay this bill, which is not in my name?
I believe that it might be assessed against your real estate.
So 8%, where did the 8% interest come from? How do you make such a high interest rate?
The city can set that interest rate and does typically on assessments each year.
And 8%, isn't that just a tad bit high?
No, I think that's fairly standard for assessments that are done around the state.
Well, I do have to say that you have made my decision for me tonight. Hibbing has just lost 2 affordable units. And if anybody wants to buy a duplex, let me know.
Okay, at this time, if there anybody else that wants to come up forward regarding, public hearing regarding special assessments for lawn grass, utilities, and/or garbage stormwater. Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Michael Swart. I live in Leetonia, 12380 Morton Avenue. A couple of years ago now, I don't remember, I was in the hospital. We had a stroke and a burst blood vessel in my brain. The city of Hibbing came in and filed me for blight and took a whole bunch of property from me. I had a small business going, repairing people's snow blowers, ATVs, whatnot. And he came in and took everything, customers' stuff, tools, brand new parts, all the packaging, everything. There was nothing I could do about it at the time. Before that, I was in the hospital and in recovery for quite a while. When it came, I was completely unprepared. And then given a $3,000 fine, or a bill rather, for it. And just stuff I don't understand. Stuff wasn't visible from any of the, traveled roads. You had to go down the alley to be able to see anything in my yard. And I don't understand what gave everyone the right to come on their property and just take things, like that. I don't live in a gated community, My house is neat and clean. I'm third generation, graduate from Hibbing High School. I lived here my entire life. It's my grandparents' house I live in now. I don't understand how people come in and do that.
And when did this happen?
It was a couple of years ago now. It was the city of Hibbing, the young lady who was working for doing blight and pets and parking, I guess is the job position. This came up, I received something in the mail, but I was busy in the hospital and whatnot for pretty much the entire year. I'm still not 100% actually, but just what gave them the right to come on my property to begin with? My civil rights got just tromped on. It's my problem, not, I had machines in my yard, but nothing was in disorder or, growing cobwebs on it. I had grass 5 feet high. I had some customers' vehicles, snowmobile, snowblower, stuff like that, and my own personal tools. And they filled up a dumpster with me. Went to my neighbor's place, grabbed a big pile of garbage from their property, threw it in their dumpster too, and billed me for that as well. I just don't understand that.
Steve, are you aware of this blight property? I mean, you're talking 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago,
Okay.
yeah. It may have been 3. I have memory issues now, sir. But the city of Hibbing came in. They had Bugalis employees come in as their labor, carrying things out, and some of the people that were helping them out were actually buying things from me as they were walking out and throwing it in the dumpster. I still don't understand what gave them the right to do that. What city ordinance or what have you that gave them the right to come on my property with a police escort and just grab whatever they want. I was told to get out of the way.
Well, there is a blight protocol, and I know to just do a blight cleanup takes a process.
Yeah.
And I don't know your specific situation
Right.
or because of the date of when this happened. I guess I'd have to research and we'd have to take a look at what you're talking about.
I have a little bit
because
of
of the
trouble,
time
I have a
frame.
little bit of trouble communicating, so I.
Oh, you're doing fine.
I have witnesses that were there and saw the whole thing happen, what my place looked like and what I was doing, and, so I just, yeah, if I could get it addressed in some way. I'm really having a tough time financially right now, and the last thing I need is another $3,000 bill for having my rights violated, so.
If it gets to that point with blight cases where there's a cleanup and Bagales and all that, would there be some kind of court order when it gets to that point?
Mayor, members of the council, not necessarily if the city is initiating the action under the ordinance, and if they're allowed to go onto the property, they don't seek a court order, they assess the property thereafter. I think Ms. Mulner, though, is trying to see whether or not the assessment the gentleman is talking about is actually on this year's assessed properties.
I'm looking at the list that we had sent to Andy's office, and it's noted, I mean, there could be an error in the listing, but it does note it as a 2024 HPUC assessment. So I guess what I'm wondering is if it's not the blight one at all, and this was actually for utilities?
No,
No?
no.
But you got this notice a couple of years ago?
It was about 3 years ago. It was
Okay.
the same time I had the stroke and the health problems I had.
You didn't get a letter this year or something about
No.
this hearing? You just
No.
came to express your concerns?
There was a hearing prior to this that I'd actually missed. I was in the hospital at that time too. I missed the last hearing.
Well, I would like to know, I mean, it'd be nice if we could get just a little more information so we can
Yeah.
research it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just, but you got my name and property. It was on the letter I received in the mail 2 days ago,
Yep.
come here. So, it's on record.
You have the name and address?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so,
So we
What-
will look into it.
okay, what action should I take then?
Well, I think we will get back to you. We will
Okay.
probably have a meeting.
All right, thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
12380.
Okay, yes. Better hurry. At this time, I'll ask one more time, if anybody is interested in coming up regarding assessments, lawn grass, utilities, garbage, or stormwater. And one last time, is anybody else interested in coming up regarding this resolution? This time then, I will ask for wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Councilor Passo.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Approve the accounts payable, checks 178695 through 178809 in the amount of $864,741.20. Two, approve the city payroll ending November 11th, 2024 in the amount of $584,000.20, or $584,020.08. Three, approve the mayor to sign and send a letter of support for the Hibbing Chamber of Commerce application to Minnesota Deed for Main Street Revitalization Grant Fund. Four, approve disciplinary policy effective November 21st, 2024. Five, approve the professional service agreement with Winseth for the City Hall window replacement project. Six, authorize Hibbing City Council to attend the 2024 Hibbing Yuletide Festival Winter Wonderland on Thursday, December 12th, 2024, from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Hibbing Public Library. Seven, authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for Barrett Zemer as intermediate airport system representative for Metropolitan Airports Commission Board position. 8, set the next regular city council meeting for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in City Hall Council Chambers. 9, set the TNT meeting for December 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Hibbing City Hall Council Chambers. 10, set the next regular Hibbing City Council workshop meeting for Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, following the TNT meeting. 11, approve the promotion of Mitchell Anderson to firefighter paramedic effective 11/21/2024. 12, authorize the nomination of Chris Whitney, Hibbing City Council Ward 4, as representative on the Arrowhead Regional Development Commission. 13, approve the right of entry agreement authorizing St. Louis County the use of an established gravel road through the city property southeast 1/4 of Section 1, Township 56 and Range 21W as access to a timber sale. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney,
Support.
support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, we do have one open forum, public forum. Mr. Anthony Pellery, is that how pronounced right? I don't want to be wrong on your name. So I just need your name and address, so we can put that down. And as I talked to you earlier, 5 minutes is the time, and with a minute to go, I will give you a nod just so you know to close up. Thank you.
Ben, my name's Anthony Polari, address 2519 6th Avenue East. Been a lifelong member, person that lives in Hibbing for 51 years, except for my military and college. I've lived here, I've been proud to be here. I've volunteered at the animal shelter for the last 8 years, on and off. Got my last 2 dogs from there, they're beautiful dogs. The animal shelter was something I was very proud of and I thought the town should be proud of. I've seen a lot of animal shelters around the United States and even overseas, and ours was the top I've ever seen, and I grew to love it. Unfortunately, back in March, it went through a reshuffle, and I understand that. And I've been trying to, stay there and help and to see if we could get it back to the way it was that I thought we could be proud of. Shortly after the March reshuffle of the people, I was told that I couldn't do what I did before as a volunteer. I've been here and I've talked to our citizen administrator. I've talked to an executive assistant there. They've all been nice. I got in contact with the president of the board, and they have informed me that they don't need anybody on the board. They don't need any help. They told me I couldn't even attend the board meeting, just to listen, or they just kind of said I didn't have the right to do that, which is fine. I've been going there for the last 6 months on and off to kind of see, how it's going over there, and to me, it's obviously not to what it was, and tell you the truth, I just kind of wanted to get involved, and I feel like they're not allowing me, as I stated before, and that's all I pretty much came to say is I feel kind of stuck to where I'm at now. I've gone there, and pretty much all the answers to my questions have always been, well, I'm new, and I understand that, and it seems like they have a lot of problems with, keeping the help there, which I can understand too, because I have volunteered for 8 years. I know the troubles there are with a shelter, and so although I have the experience of our shelter for the last 8 years, I'm not even allowed to really help. I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I just want to help. And so as the president of the board, nonprofit board, tells me they don't need help, they don't want help, and that's what I get. And I'm just kind of wondering why this one individual has all the power, even though they're maybe not correct, but how are they to know that they are doing it wrong, or maybe going about it wrong way if nobody else has even offered the chance to help them? I've asked to be a member of the board, and they've told me they already have enough members. And so as this shelter is going down, in my mind, which again, I understand they got new people, they have a hard time keeping these positions. Well, I was a volunteer on and off for 8 years. I loved it there. And then they tell me I can't do it anymore. So I guess maybe, because of the new people there, they don't understand what I did or whatnot. But it just, it's been 6 months. I've been there recently. There's issues. There's always issues. And I understand that. And I learned it. That's why I was going there for 8 years, just to learn that and understand it. And I finally felt comfortable with it. And unfortunately, we had to reshuffle everything because of whatever reason, payroll or budgeting. I understand all that. I get that. So I guess I just wanted to voice my little frustration and maybe some suggestions on how I could go forward with that. That's about all I wanted to say tonight, and thank you for your time.
Well, I appreciate you stopping up and voicing your opinion. Anthony, like you, my last two dogs are from the shelter, so I've used the shelter many times. And my last two dogs are directly from the shelter, so I appreciate what you had to say. I guess we can't really discuss and make decisions here tonight, but we certainly will pass on your information and your passion for what you've done for the shelter, and I appreciate and thank you for the years that you have put in there. And working with animals is fantastic
Thank you.
thing to do, so, thank you. Okay, any other comments, councilors? If not, I will move on to City Administrator, Mr. Krasinski, Administrator's report.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you. 2 items from my office this evening. First item is a little bit more of a promotional activity, but we'll be working on our 2024 report to the City Council and residents of Hibbing. We'll roll that out in December on the 18th, which is our last meeting of the year, so you have that to look forward to. Item number 2, something that we've been working on since about July, our stormwater plan. We did receive an update from Bar Engineering. We're going to do some internal meeting on it to try to get an action plan for the City Council to at least consider and or implement. Important because I think the conversation happened in July. I know there's been a bit of a lull as we try to bring that plan back to fruition. So I just wanted to report to the City Council, but also some of those folks that had some flooding down on 41st and kind of in that area. So we haven't forgotten about that stormwater plan, and we'll get that to the City Council for hopefully implementation soon. So with that, I'll yield to the City Council.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Krasinski? All right, with that, we'll move on to bids and quotes. First up, we have Mr. Estee.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Looking for approval to purchase firearms detection / apprehension canine through McDonough Canines in the amount of $18,500. This would include the purchase of the canine as well as the training for the new handler when we determine who that will be.
Okay. Councilors, hearing what Chief Estee had to say regarding moving forward now with the new detection firearm canine, wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney,
Support.
supported by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Steve, my one question, funding. Can you give me a breakdown on how funding would be for this?
Yeah, so right now we have set up a couple years ago, Sheena helped us set up a canine capital fund.
Okay.
So this is going to pay for that up front. I also did apply for 2 grants. One's through the Northland Canine Foundation, another one's through the AKC Retriever Club. So hoping to hear back on those very soon, actually.
And did you mention this is a special type of dog that we'll have the only one?
Yeah, we'll have the only one north of St. Paul.
Okay. Well, we have a first and a second discussion. Wishes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
We'll move on to license and permits. 1, approve the special event permit application of the Hibbing Area Chamber of Commerce to hold Spirit of Unity Parade on November 25th, 2024 in downtown Hibbing. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Councilor Fossil,
Support.
support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Number 2, approve the special event permit application of the Hibbing Public Library to hold the 2024 Hibbing Yuletide Festival Winter Wonderland on Thursday, December 12th, 2024 at the Hibbing Public Library. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney,
Support.
support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3, approve the raffle permit application request of the Angel Fund to hold their raffle on Sunday, February 9th, 2024 at the Hibbing Curling Club. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Councilor Fossil,
Support.
support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
It's 2025. Sorry about that.
Oh, so the permit, just for that one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, February 9th would have to be 2025, wouldn't it? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Number 4 and last, approve the raffle permit application request of the Hibbing Boys Hoop Club to hold their raffle on February 11th, 2025 at the Lincoln Elementary School. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil.
Support.
Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Counselor Hildebrand. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.